Hello, bro. Welcome to Progress Junior Golf with Content Live Golf. My name is Steve Jackson. This is Ian Waterhouse.
Steve, how you doing? It's great to be back, I have to say. And I don't know if you've noticed this week, I've decided to go for a bit of a yellow theme. What do you think? Do you like it?
You didn't even know what shirt I was wearing as well. How about that?
I didn't know. I didn't know. Bit more eye-catching, I think, this week because it's a good topic this week, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's a topic whereby actually a couple of subjects we're going to be covering. So we're going to be doing one on junior golf equipment and junior golf clothing, and
Yeah.
obviously a podcast for junior golfers. So we're out there trying to promote the game and trying to get more kids involved. And these are two things which are important for juniors because they need to have they need to have clothes and they need to have golf clubs and golf balls and golf equipment. So it's two subjects which is important to kids and also important obviously to parents as well.
And being a parent myself of a 6-year-old, I can testify it can be a nightmare getting the right equipment and the right clothing. So it's quite an important podcast with me.
So we're hopeless. We have no idea what we're doing. So that's the reason why we've got two special guests on who are going to explain all about it. So we're going to help us out. So we've got Golfing UK Operations Director Scott Robertson, and we got Every Shot Counts Junior Golf Clothing founder Charlie Albanese. So those two are going to be having a chat about various aspects of the two subjects. First things first, though, we need to get that junior golf news.
Yes, we certainly do. What have we got this week?
Well, as you can appreciate, the weather it's not been great once again. Slightly different from normal because in previous weeks it's been cold. Now it's just been blowy. So there's been a few competitions which have been called off, but there has been some which have taken place. So we're going to cover a few of those. The first schools golf event, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago, that was postponed. That was supposed to take place at Hollingwell in Nottinghamshire. On February the 21st, but it's been rearranged, so they've got a date for it. So that's Monday, March the 14th now. They actually have got their first event, which takes place a few days earlier. That's on Thursday, March the 10th. That's at Tandridge Golf Club, the Invitational in Surrey. There are still some spots available for that, so if you do need to play in that, you want to go and play in that, then please get in touch with the organisers. The Irish Junior Open Tour event, they had a couple of events at Royal Tara and Knightsbridge. Both of those were cancelled due to the heavy rain. They were playing for the Darren Clark Trophy. It's kind of like an Order of Merit. I think it was the last two events of the Order of Merit. They are looking to rearrange those competitions, so I'd imagine that they'll wait until those competitions have been sorted out before they announce the Order of Merit winners and things like that. Now, having said that, there have been some competitions, like I say, which have taken place. We'll start with the Portuguese Men's International Amateur Championship. And there's a reason why I say this is one, because although it's a men's competition, it took place at Montado Golf Resort in the south of Lisbon. Frank Kennedy won it, and he's 16 years old from Cheshire.
There you go. There he is.
There he is, yeah. Led from start finish in the 72-hole event, rounds of 65, 69, 64 a day, 8 birdies, no bogeys. So he had the final day, and he extended that to 4 shots with a 71 on the final day to win by 4 shots. So well done to him. Jack Bigham, another England junior, absolutely, yeah. Jack Bigham, he finished 16th. Just previous winners of that competition, just to give you an idea about the kind of standard play. Pepperell's a previous winner of that competition. So if he can go and do anything he's done in the past, then he's done very well. Staying overseas, the Robert Rock Junior Golf Tour, they had their first competition of the season. It was actually their first ever overseas competition. There it is. The Spanish Open at La Manga Club. It was sponsored by European Tour golfer Pablo Larrazabal. As you can see from the photos there, kids looked at it, they really enjoyed it. Saw some great photos on Twitter of the winners and things like that. So really good the fact that
quite a few mid-lows being worn there though. Steve, quite a few mid-lows being worn, doesn't
slightly
it?
different
The warmest.
over here. Yeah, slightly more warmer. Yes. Now, competitions coming up. I've got the Cornwall Junior Spring Meeting. That's taking place on Sunday, March the 6th. That's a big event. That's the Bude and North Cornwall Golf Club. Now, we have actually had some competitions in this country, so it's not been all that bad news. The Lincoln Junior Open. How about these scores for the two winning scores here then? So, Louis Solceld from Waterford plays off 11, won with 42 points. 12 gross pars and a gross eagle on the 15th hole. And second place, Abigail Scott from Kennet Park. She got 41 points, so pretty good there. The Bedfordshire Golf Union, now they've been organising a winter tour. They had their latest event at John O'Gaunt. The winner was Jaden Slender from Cano Wood. Now, I said that the scores were pretty good in that competition. The winning score here was 44 points. 10 net birdies and 1 net eagle, and second place was his club mate Jacob Townsend, who came in with a mere 42 points. I mean, they're obviously having a shocker, those two, weren't they? That
Terrible,
fantastic scoring, yes. So,
I can see why I never made it as a golfer.
Absolutely, yeah. Now they've got an event coming up on this Sunday as well. That's at Pavenham Park, and Kai Williams is playing in that event. Now, the reason why I mentioned Kai. Two reasons, really. One is the fact that we're going to have a podcast coming up in a few weeks' time, and Kai is one of our guests on there. So that's really good, the fact that we're going to see him and have a good chat with him. Also, he has just been confirmed. The finalists for the England Golf Awards have been announced, and he has been confirmed as one of the finalists for the Young Ambassador of the Year Award. So well done to Kai.
Yeah.
Eloise Feely, Isabella Brunskill, Tilly Garforth, some of the other ones, or the other three rather, who've been nominated for the Young Ambassador of the Year Awards. And I tell you, it is very noticeable out some of these awards. A lot of them have junior elements to it. The reason why they've been nominated for various awards is because of their work with junior golf, which is really fantastic to see. A friend of the podcast, friend of yours, Aaron Cox, he's been nominated for the Participation and Development Coach of the Year.
Well deservedly so. I know Aaron will be watching as well, so congratulations.
Well done to Aaron. Yeah, Adam Chady-Millen, who's a pro just down the road from me, he's also been nominated for the same category. So just between the two of us, let's hope that they halve that award. So let's hope he's a joint award winner. Hannah Crump. Now this is an interesting one. She's been nominated for the Women and Girls Trailblazer Award, but she's also been nominated for the Diversity and Inclusion Champion Award. So well done to her, the fact that she's managed to get 2 nominations. So that says something, and I know of all the work that she does with junior golfers in Warwickshire. So congratulations to her. Ellie Perks as well for that second category, junior golfer as well. She's been nominated as well. Volunteer of the Year Award, James Dobson, who I know very well from the Leicestershire Golf Club. I was very fortunate this last year. They had a junior golf festival, and I came along and I took some photos of the kids playing in that massive event, and it was really, I tell you, it was one of my favourite events of the year because I saw so many smiling faces at that event, and that's credit to James and the volunteers at the Leicestershire. So well done to them. Hopefully that all goes well. Now, there is another one as well, another big one. Well, there's a few other big ones, but the tournament venue of the year. Now, this is one which you know a little bit about as well. There's of the 4 nominations. One of them is England Girls Championship, and one of them is the English Under-18s Mixed Championship. Now, I've got a feeling I know someone who was involved with that. Do you know someone who was involved with that?
Well, I can tell you, actually, Steve, the English Under-18 Championship, first ever England golf event broadcast live by yours truly, and what an event it was. Actually, the broadcast, I have to say, the broadcast was arranged by Farnham Golf Club. They got in touch with me and said, look, we've had this idea about broadcasting it, seeing what you do. Would you be interested? So, of course, yeah, why wouldn't I? And we do a little clip to play, actually, of the final day of the final couple of shots. Jensen Forrester and Lottie Wade. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
I think he's going to ask Lottie to mark it, isn't he?
I was going to say, I thought he was going to hit it then, but no, he's just getting the visuals right. Oh, that's 4 foot for Lottie there. What a golf shot that was in there with her hybrid. I'm not sure which hybrid she used. She's got 2 in her bag.
I think that's one of the best I've seen this whole weekend.
Go on, Jensen. Oh, his chipping is unbelievable, this boy.
Well, it's highly likely he's about to move to 11 to finish the tournament and become the English Under-18 champion. And Maggie, come on, Maggie.
Come on, everyone.
I just want everybody to win.
I think it defeats the object, Ian, if that happens.
But it wouldn't be a very good sport then, would it? So Maggie's finished at 6. This is to be outright lady winner. She's got 2 putts to make it.
This is for the outright second place as well.
Yes. So Lottie Wide moves to 8 under and takes second place here at the English Under-18 Championship. And here is Jensen Forrester. He's going to birdie, fingers crossed.
Can I just say, just something on Lottie's character here. Imagine the pressure coming into this event, Ian. She's been the poster girl for this event since it was first had its inception at her home club, to be in the final group, to do what she's done. Fantastic from
And
Jensen.
there he is.
Well done, Jensen, as well. What a player.
Yeah,
there you go. Great memories there, Steve. Can't believe that was actually way back. That's 6-7 months ago now. And Jensen Forrester taking the outright title, Lottie Woe taking the girls' title. And yeah, of course, that joining me on commentary was Luke Bone. He's head pro up at Farnham. He's also Lottie Woe's coach, and of course, I'm sure everybody's very familiar with Lottie. She came into that tournament. Farnham is her club; it's her home club. The pressure on her those 4 days was absolutely immense. But she delivered it quite something.
And he was the less biased commentator out of the 2 of them as well, because you wanted her to win even more than he did, I think.
Well, no, hang on. I'm good friends with the Whiteheads as well. And it was Maggie Whitehead who came second in the girls' category, and she played a blinder as well. So, as I also said in the commentary, I want everybody to win. As true sitting on the fence style, as you.
By the way, just on the subject of Maggie Whitehead, anyone who's on Twitter, go and have a look at Twitter and put Maggie Whitehead into the Twitter feed, and just watch the clip of her this week playing in the rain. And I defy you not to laugh when you see her as the rain drips down her top, because her face is like, how cold is this? And I apologise, Maggie, but it is funny. I know. So I mean, credit to her for going out there and playing in the rain, but there you go. So yeah. Right, just want to finish the golf news then, just to mention as well that there are Performance of the Year Award, Club of the Year Award, Sustainability Project of the Year Award, and County of the Year Award as well. We mentioned for the County of the Year Award because Cambridgeshire Golf Union, which is one of the 3 which has been nominated for that, they will be also on our podcast later in March. We're going to be doing a podcast on county golf, so they're going to be coming on. So it'd be great to have a chat with them about that as well. Also, which is something which is bound to be brought up when we have a chat with our 2 guests in a few moments' time, but Bunkered Live as well, which we mentioned in the last podcast, that took place at the NEC from February the 18th to February the 20th. By all accounts, it was a massive success, and they've got another show coming up in Glasgow, March the 18th to March the 20th. I think tickets are on sale for that, so if you want to go along to that, then please get involved.
Fantastic. Right, Steve, is it time? Is it time to bring the actual stars on and get rid of one of the useless people? I'm going to dip out, and I'm going to bring our guests on. Steve, who are they?
Right, so we have 2 special guests. Our topic of conversation today is junior golf equipment and junior golf clothing. So we've got a special guest, which is Golfing UK Operations Director Scott Robertson, and also Every Shot Counts Junior Golf Clothing founder Charlie Albanese. And good evening, gentlemen. Let's just test out our microphones, make sure we can still hear.
Yeah, still working.
Yeah, fine, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
Good, fantastic. Right, okay, so obviously this is a topic here which is going to be important for kids, parents. You both obviously have children, so it's might be certainly young for you, Scott, but even at that age, it's something which you need to start considering. So let's start with golf equipment first of all, then, and just give us a little bit of a background of what golfing is, how it was set up, and why it was set up.
Sure. So the company started about 7 years ago, Steve, really based around the fact that there was a need for slightly, when I say better golf equipment, more child-friendly golf equipment in the market. And our founder, Callum McPherson, was an aerospace engineer. So he developed, using an aerospace alloy, this oversized head with oversized grooves, all designed to try and get the golf ball in the air. And I was one of the first people actually to see it. I was the head teaching professional at a driving range called Broadleys Golf, just outside Glasgow. I had 100 kids in my academy, and Callum appeared with this, what looked like a monstrosity of an iron at the time. And we tried it, and instantly we could see results. You know, we know that kids want to see the golf ball in the air. That's really the only thing they're looking for. At any age, I remember being, 7, 8 years old, trying the game for the first time, watching my dad hit the ball, and he could get it airborne and I couldn't understand why. So golfing, really, the ethos around these clubs, certainly at the younger years, is all about get contact with the ball, get it in the air, and let's have some fun. You know, we were all brought up with golf clubs that, well, I certainly was brought up with golf clubs that were chopped down. You know, they were the right length, but they were 6 times too heavy. And the weight of the club is so important. So what we've developed is a golf club that is fun, it's friendly, it's great for the kids, it's nice and bright. You can see by my background here, the colours of the bags and the dolphins. It's all about engagement, a bit of fun, but there's some tech behind it as well, Steve.
And from your point of view, Charlie, you're a parent of a child. How much of a challenge was it to try and get golf clubs which were right for your child?
Yeah, it was difficult. It's the same clubs and clothes. It's got better over the last, I'd say, 5 years or so. But yeah, I first came across golfing at an American golf show in Manchester. It must have been after you were just formed, and I met Callum there. He was also at an event in Portugal. He was giving away clubs at the World Kids Golf Championships for prizes there, which was fantastic. For the little ones to get those the ball in the air, the oversized clubs, it's a fantastic idea, because we seem to forget sometimes that the head of a golf club's quite small, and we're asking the kid to swing it right around their body and hit this small white ball and try and knock it up in the air and get it far. So at first glance, you think this is a bit strange, but you see the kids hit it. And I'm a junior organizer at our place as well. So they're fabulous to keep them interested so they don't get disheartened before they've even had a chance to start hitting a ball.
Just give us an idea about what kind of age it starts then. When do you start? When do you provide clubs from what age? Sorry.
Sure. So we've got 5 sets within that early age range, Steve. So we start at 3 to 4. We do them in ages, but again, we do them in height and size, because obviously we're going to get variations in age in terms of height. I've got a 6-year-old who's using the 7-8s at the moment, so he's already above the 5 to 6 range. So they start at 3 years old, but I know we'll cover Bunkered Live again in a minute, but if we can cover that just very briefly. I was there at the weekend, and we had 1 and 2-year-olds coming onto the stand, were able to put their hands on a club in the right way and take an age 3 to 4 iron and move it and get the club moving through the ball. And it was all down to the weight and the size of the head. So I would say to anybody, if the child's standing up and they're showing an interest, get them on it. Get them playing the game. And even if it's just a matter of running about holding a club, as long as they're having fun, it doesn't matter, Steve. So we've got 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 to 8, and 9 to 10 in that early stage oversized iron.
Just give us an idea of how that felt, because I'm guessing when that child hit that first shot and the ball went in the air, the smile must have been gone, an ear-to-ear smile. How did that feel to watch that?
That's brilliant. It took me back, because I've been out. I was a PGA pro for 13 years, and I've been out of it for 4 or 5 years now. And it took me back to those moments you get as a coach, where, and I get it now as a dad, but there's nothing better. There is nothing better. Especially, it's great for kids who enjoy the game, who've tried the game. But we had 2 schools there on the Friday as well, and we had a number of children there who'd never held a club, they didn't know anything about the game. Their faces when they held a club and they hit the ball up towards the dart golf and it sticks and they get a score. There is nothing better than that, Steve. If you're introducing someone new to a game that they might go on and play for the next 60, 70 years, it's incredible, absolutely incredible.
How old was your son, Charlie, when he first started playing them?
Well, in my house, golf's never off the TV. So the minute he could stand up, I thrust a plastic club in his hand, and he just seemed to know how to hold it baseball style and how to swing it around his body. And he was probably about 18 months when he was doing that with a plastic club. And then from the age of, I've got a video of him at 3 years and 1 month old when we were on a trip in Scotland, and he chipped in from off the green. I've got that on video. So it was amazing when he did it. At his age, golfing weren't around then. So I can't remember. He got just some tiny junior clubs. I can't even remember the make now. They were a little bit too heavy for him, which in the long run, you know, he's now got quite a fast, strong swing. But given the choice, I'd have got him something lighter, but that's all that was on the market then. So he was about 2.5 to 3 when he first started hitting a ball. But he chipping and putting, it was just ridiculous. It's like he was born to do it.
It's a good point you raised there, in the sense of whether the clubs were right for him at that age, in the sense that they might have been a little bit too heavy and things like that. Is that something which you have to be careful of, Scott, or is it just a case of at that age, just you know, don't worry too much about, you know, whether it's right or perfect, just try and get them to hit a ball of some description? How's the balance work between those two?
Yeah, I think we have to be careful. I mean, listen, I represent golfing, and we've developed a product which we believe to be the best product in the market for that. But we also want to develop junior golf as a whole. You know, so I wouldn't say, well, if you can't use an oversized head with oversized grooves, don't play the game when you're 3 years old or 4 years old. That's not the case at all. We want everybody to have access to the game. But if you have the option of being able to purchase golf equipment, then let's buy the product that is right for them and get them using it, because it's going to help their game. You know, we know ourselves, guys, we've been playing the game a long time. My bad habits are there. I'm going to struggle to change those bad habits. But if we can get, you know, children involved in the game early doors, but with the right equipment, those bad habits won't be there. You know, we know that if the weight of the club is wrong, when a child takes it back, they'll struggle to keep it in the right position. It will move. When it's light, they're able to hold it and position it back into play. So I would say it's vital in terms of the progression. But if it meant not playing the game, if they don't have the right kit, no, we get everybody playing the game. Everybody gets access.
And obviously, like we've mentioned here, you started at a very young age there. So what kind of conversations do you have with how does a parent of a 3-year-old approach you? I mean, that must be a weird conversation that I couldn't relate to that, if you sort of mean that
Yeah.
Someone, you know, I mean, you explain how that works.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I mentioned the 1-year-olds on the stand at Bunker Live. They actually bought a set of 3 to 4 clubs off us, and their son stands and watches the golf religiously. I don't know if he's a relation of Charlie's. He could be, judging by the house. But you know, the parents were telling me at 1-year-old, they put the golf on TV and he stands and watches it. So sometimes you're already engaged in a conversation where golf is at a premium, and they know it, and they're understanding of it. There's other times where the parents don't play and they say, look, I have a 3-year-old who has shown an interest in this. What do you do? And we say, well, look, you know, get them started early, get them to the driving range. The other thing we've developed, Steve, is a range of golf balls, a couple of golf balls, one of which was called a flipper ball. So it's an oversized ball, size of a tennis ball. It's made of a lightweight rubber. So if you and I would maybe get 60, 70 yards out of it with a 7-iron, kids will only get maybe 10, 20 yards out of it. But what that allows them to do, that 3-year-old, is take the club, hit some kind of ball, get it up in the air. So the conversation we have with the adults is, and the parents is, well, if you have a small back garden or an area of a field down the road, take a club, and we sell them individually. It's not just sets. We sell them individually. Get a 7-iron, get a sand wedge, get them down with a flipper ball, and just let them hit. Let them try it. And if they engage in it, we'll start to move them down the pathway. We're also very engaged in a number of areas in terms of, we've got an app that we work with very, very closely with PGA professionals. We go into schools and deliver sessions through Edu Golfing. So we want to make sure that kids are getting an opportunity to try it, and then we show them how to move through the game. You know, they try in school. This is the club you should try and use. This is how to go to the driving range. This is your local club and your local pro. We then develop junior golf through that route. So there's membership and a pathway to playing the game for the future.
I mean, obviously, we've started off talking about the very young golfers here, but generally speaking, what kind of age is your, I wouldn't say your target audience, but that's where you get most of the play? What age realistically do most of them start coming through? Is it 6, 7, 8-year-olds onwards? Is that roughly?
Yeah, 6, 7, 8, and it's dropped. You know, it's become younger and younger over the years. I mean, I played golf from a young age, but I didn't join a golf club till I was 11 years old. That was the minimum I could join at. So that's changed. I think the mindset around golf in the UK has changed for the better over the past probably 5 years, as Charlie said, 5 to 10 years. it's become much more accessible. We know the game has become more accessible. So we're seeing that age drop, which is great, because they're starting earlier, they're improving quicker, they're enjoying the game, they're engaging with it more. So I would say, yes, 7 and 8 is probably the busiest period. But we are seeing more and more of this 3 to 4, 5 to 6 age group, which is great.
I think we've got a photo of some of the sets of clubs. I know you've got some there in the background behind you, but I think we've got a photo here of, I mean, one of the things which is immediately striking is the colour, is the fact that it's bright. It's instantly attractive to juniors, isn't it? And is that something which you straight away you go, that's one of the things which we need to make sure we get right?
Definitely, absolutely. It has to be engaging. You know, I look at my own kids now and I understand why golfing was built this way. It was done in the bright colours, and then we move on to Gfk Plus, which is the set you saw in the far right of the image, which has been dialed back in terms of its colour. You know, it's black and red. It's very clean cut. That's our traditional set. That's RNA conforming, and that's for the guys and girls who've been playing golf a little bit longer, who are a little bit older, who are looking for something that's conforming for competition play. And that's that pathway that we spoke about where they can progress through. So we try and grab the kids at a young age to say, listen, this is the engaging kit. This is the one that's going to work best for you. It's bright, it's fun. And then we know that as the kids get a little bit older, they're looking for something a little bit more like they would get at a higher level.
Well, not only that as well, but it looks like, I mean, you mentioned the clubs for the very younger ones, which possibly doesn't look like a normal club, if you like, because it's slightly bigger. But those they you know, that could be a Tour Pro, you know, wearing that, you know, using that type of thing, couldn't it?
Yeah, they don't know the difference, and very quickly, once they start to deliver that club, you know, the ball in the middle of the club, they can move on to the next stage quicker than they probably realise. But to start off with the bigger one. The Gfk Plus looks like the clubs that we all got when we started the game. That's it's a much more traditional iron, slightly harder to hit, slightly smaller head, reason it's conforming. So yeah, let's start them on the young stuff.
Now, obviously, Charlie, you've obviously been through this process with your son. Now, the one thing which I've noticed with my son and Scott's going through the same thing with his children as well is that they have a nasty habit of growing. which means that they tend to grow out of these clubs, or they you know, how difficult is that as a parent to know, you know, if you're not an expert on golf, of when to go back to Scott and say, well, actually, I think these golf clubs are not quite the right size anymore. You know, is it on a monthly basis, a year basis? How often did you have to look at it?
Well, this is a difficulty, and I can look at it from another angle because I fit golf clubs for a living outside of Every Shot Counts. So from adults to children, as soon as a child walks in our shop for a golf fitting, all the other guys just turn away and point them in my direction. So the difficulty is most parents don't want to be changing every 6 months because their kids are growing. So you kind of fit them in a club that's a little bit longer for them now. They'll grow into it. They'll probably have 6 to 8 months when they're at the perfect length. Then they might be a little bit shorter. And all kids grow at different lengths. I'm really lucky in that my lad's 14 now, and he still looks like an 11 or 12-year-old. So he didn't grow that much that quickly. So he kept his clubs a little bit longer. And the difficulty for Scott as well is kids see all these brands on the TV, and they want to see the big brands. And some of the big brands have a token gesture set of children's clubs that they'll tell you are fantastic. And some of them just want them because they see Rory or Tiger or whoever playing with them. And then they've not seen the golfing brand or any of the other brands that only make kids clubs. So I personally steer them in that direction because
I was gonna raise that point with you actually with both of you, because I think it's relevant also for the clothing side of it as well. But when you do have, you know, children want to follow their idols. I mean, you know, Tiger, Rory, whoever it might be, perhaps not Phil Mickelson nowadays, but when they see these players playing on the television or whatever, then they go, I'd want to use their equipment. I want to use their golf balls. I want to use their golf clubs. So how difficult is it to go, well, actually, that's not appropriate for you at this moment. Perhaps when you're, you know, 18, 19 or whatever onwards. But at the moment, how difficult is that? Is that a challenge? Is it a big challenge? It's something which is an ongoing thing. How does it work?
I think probably the easiest way to explain it, Steve, if you were to put a club like that, I wouldn't name any brands, but a big brand name into a child's hands, they won't be able to deliver it the way that they would do a golfing club. So they won't get the same result. So what we'll say to them is, like, we understand it. I've got 2 boys who are already quite brand centric, you know, so I totally understand it. It's expensive. It's terrifyingly expensive as well. So I would be saying to them, try and engage the parent, obviously, to say, look, if you go down that road, it's going to be expensive. However, if we can get the junior to hit the ball, they'll see the difference straight away. So that, you know, that it's going to be slightly smaller head, it's going to be a little bit heavier. It's generally in the results. Do you want to play like Rory in 10 or 15 years? And they go, well, I want to play like Rory now, but yeah, okay, I'll take 10, 15 years. Do it with a golfing club. You know, you need to play with that just now and learn. It's a bit of education for them and an understanding, which is probably back to even the engagement of the colours and everything that's with it, you know, the dolphin head covers and everything else. If we can engage them in the fun factor, we can actually bypass the issue with the brand. And that's on us as well, Steve. As a brand, we need to continue that push to make us the brand that juniors want to play with.
Steve, I'll add to that as well, if you don't mind. Everyone I fit at any age, adults as well, and sometimes I'm fitting adults, and they'll look down at a club that I know is better for them than what they've got in their hand, and they'll say, I don't like the look of it. And all I say to them at any age, kids or adults, is if you start hitting this ball a long way and straight down the middle, you will learn to love how that club looks because it's delivering results. So I would say to everybody at any age, don't worry about how the club looks. You know, us adults think we can play with blades, but they're not the best clubs for us. So, and I say that to all the kids, don't worry about how it looks, worry about how well you hit it. And then you learn to love the clubs in your bag because you're hitting them well.
Okay, we're going to put up a screenshot which I saw. I was looking on Twitter earlier today, just for something else actually. But this thing came up on Twitter and I saw it, and it kind of like struck a bit of a nerve with this subject that we're talking about here. Hopefully, Ian's going to put it up in a second here. But basically, there's this lad, and he was talking about here it is, yeah. So Max Hollingsworth. So it's school's event was called off basically. So he went down to the range, working hard on slow takeaway for a percentage of speed and downspin. And that's suddenly dawned on me. Hold on a second here. Kids nowadays, they want to follow Bryson, they want to follow Rory, they want to follow, you know, the players who smash the ball as hard as they possibly can. Now, when you're looking for golf clubs and golf balls as well, is that how different is that now than perhaps it was even when you first started out, even in recent years, in the sense that the mentality of a golfer now is not necessarily to try and score, but to try and smash it as hard as they possibly can and as far as they can. Is that something which you've started having to deal with a little bit more, the attitudes towards that?
I think certainly at the young age, Steve, on the GFK product, we would have a great argument there because you'd be able to say it's so light, you'd be able to move your hands as fast as you want. So therefore, you'll create that. So I would have a selling tool there if I went down the route of, you know, do you want to be a bomber? Come and use GFK and you'll be there in 10 years. So, you know, you may have just hit on a new marketing campaign. Listen, the game has changed.
I'll take a cut of that, and if that is the case.
I do, absolutely. Get you on commission. Yeah. The game is different now. You know, I know one in particular, a former Walker Cup player who talked about they would go away to events and wouldn't be able to compete because they were up against, you know, big, tall Belgian lads who were pulling driver on short, tight par fours and knocking it 300 odd yards down the middle. They had been coached to hit it to 10 and keep it in the fairway and be short and, you know, and then play. It's a different game now at junior level and senior level. So I don't see an issue there in terms of the equipment. It's more a custom fit side, as Charlie says, when you get to that level and to that age where they're delivering the club that fast, you know, 150 mile an hour ball speed, he needs Charlie's expertise to rein him in. You know, we know where we are in the market. We are up to 14 years old. And if somebody has that level of ball speed, well, they're not going to be using our equipment because it's not catering for them. But that's not who we're aiming at. We're aiming at a level of introductory product to golf with a pathway right the way through the GFK product, which is excellent, absolutely excellent in terms of what it will do for that junior. But there comes a point where they need to move on. And if that's the case and they've been with golfing that long and they move on, we've done our job, Steve. We've done what we were there to do.
Now, one thing I want to clarify here, and I'm sure you back this up straight away, is the fact that it's aimed at boys and girls as well. Different, are they slightly different types of products, or is it just based on the swing?
on the swing. So the only differentiator, as you saw probably in the image, is the colours. So in 2 of the sizes, we offer them in pink and lime green, or pink and blue, depending on the size. So you've got the 5 to 6 age there in the lime green, and the 5 to 6 in the pink, and then you'll have 7 to 8 is blue and 7 to 8 in pink. So you've got the option there. Aside from that, there's no difference. It's exactly the same product. Again, because it's so light, there was no need to differentiate. The only other differentiator we're bringing in, we're about to launch GFL. We're about to launch golfing for ladies, based upon the same lines as the GFK product, because it fits so well into that market, and we believe there is a gap in the market for that. But different podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Hold fire on the talk of the colours, because that's something which we want to have a chat with Charlie about, with the clothing side of it. But just one final point on all of this, then, and it's something which was alluded to earlier, but it is a massive issue, and that's the price. So how I don't want you to give me the price of each product or things like that, but how competitive is it in the market?
In the higher end product that will last, that will deliver results, it's more than competitive. We know there's one big player in the market in terms of the junior product, and we are competitive and underneath them in terms of price. You get what you pay for, Steve, like anything in life, and as I said earlier on, I wouldn't want a child not to be able to play golf because they can't afford a golfing club or a set of golfing clubs. We want them to play, but you do get what you pay for. If it's cheap and it's out of certain large scale sports retailers, then it's not going to last, and it isn't going to do the child much good. What we've got is a product that is going to deliver results better than anything else on the market, to get the engagement, to get them loving the game, to get the ball in the air, to get the excitement factor up, and then continue that journey. So the price point is as competitive as it can be, Steve.
Okay, we're going to start talking there about the clothing side of it as well, because obviously that's let's stay with the same question then. As far as golf clothing is concerned, and pricing is because clothing is not cheap, and I kind of half joked about it earlier, but kids tend to grow, so they grow out of clothing possibly even quicker than they would grow out of and also they probably get it dirtier quicker as well. But before we move on to that, just explain what the company you set up, why you set it up, and when.
Yeah, of course. So every shot counts. Junior golf clothing. So everyshotcounts.co.uk. That's the business. It's been going since April 2018, so 4 years nearly. Bearing in mind 2 years of that were almost wasted because of COVID. And I started it because I retired from a previous profession. And because of my love of golf, I got a part-time job at the country's biggest golf retailer. And I kind of got fed up of parents coming to me and telling me there are no junior clothes, as if it was my fault. And in the end, I decided, well, it's not my fault, but why not make it my responsibility? So I started the business with a friend of mine who's since dropped out of it. He decided to go a different way. And I decided, rather than trying to sell other brands' clothing, because I knew it was out there and some different retailers and some pro shops may offer a small spattering, I wanted to create a brand that would have all of the sizes, aged originally between 7 up to 14. I've since gone up to 16 years old, because my customer feedback is, as they were getting to 14 and growing out of my clothes, their mums and dads were emailing me and saying, well, we'd love to carry on because of they've grown up in the last 4 years in these clothes, so they want to carry on. So the new products are going all the way up to the age of 16. But as we touched on before, with brands, kids see their heroes in the big brands, and we know who the big brands are. And it's difficult to get kids into a new brand. As far as what you were talking about a minute ago, kids growing, I kind of shoot myself in the foot a little bit, in that the quality of my clothes is that good. I don't want it to be used and thrown away. I want it to be used and either handed down to other siblings, or sold on, like you see lots of kids' golf clubs on Facebook sold on secondhand. I want to see my clothes sold on secondhand because they will last, which is kind of goes against the business sense of selling more and more and more. But there's enough land, there's enough waste and landfill in this world, and similar to what Scott was saying with golf clubs, I want to see kids playing golf, however that is, however they do it, and a lot of golf clubs insist on a type of clothing that they've got to wear. So I price it as cheaply as I can physically do it, so that they're affordable.
Just on the point of not throwing away clothes and things like that, actually, it's kind of relevant with the golf equipment as well. I'll give an example. My local golf club, my son now is 15 years old, and when he was about 10 or so, I took him down to the local club, got him playing a little bit of golf. As it panned out, he didn't want to take it up. But the golf club were great in the sense that they gave him a set of golf. They said, look, this is a set of golf clubs which was the junior at the club has outgrown them. So he's just given us a set of golf clubs. And I've now done the same thing now with my son. I've just took them back down to the golf club and said, look, they were barely used. There you go, for the next person who comes along to this golf club. Do you do something similar? Can you do something similar with what you have, Scott?
Yeah, what we've seen actually, Steve, quite a number of clubs, one in particular, West Lothian, up in Scotland, they have a rental model for the kids. So what we're seeing is the clubs investing in the clubs, the golf clubs investing in the clubs themselves for the kids at the start. So they don't have to have that outlay, a bit like that we're saying there, make sure they've got the quality product in their hands. So the clubs are saying, well, there's the rental model, guys, take them out. And therefore they are being reused. They take a couple in each size and they're being used year upon year upon year. It's a brilliant way to do it. We know that the golf club resale market is there. The same as Charlie. At the end of the day, we know our clubs will go back into eBay or Gumtree or whatever it's going to be to regurgitate them into the market. And yes, it means us selling less, but again, if they're out there and they're being used, it's a sign of product quality, and they're going to be used, as I say, year upon year. That's a good thing for us. It's a nice thing for us, and it's the way it should be.
Now, I mentioned obviously with the golf clubs the colour as well. We've got some photos for your clothing range of the colours that you use, Charlie, and presumably we've mentioned about trying to match up against the bigger brands. Presumably, this is one of the ways that you can do by making it fun, making it colourful, making it attractive to juniors.
Yeah, there's also a fine balance. There are other kids' clothing companies out there, some of which have experimented with really loud, bright colours and strange patterns on there, and it's all down to personal taste, isn't it? So I like to create. So this is a girl called Eva Grace, and she is an ambassador for my clothing, and she's taken over from another girl who I know Steve, called Alexis, who, if you give me time in a minute, I'd like to speak about just for a minute.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But this is Eva Grace, and she's wearing most of the clothes that she's got on are both boys and girls' clothes. So the trousers are as common for girls as they are for boys. They're slim-legged. They've got adjustable waistbands because, as we know, same as adults, kids come in all shapes and sizes. So I've got nicer colours in the tops, and there are 3 different ones with the stripes on for girls, 3 different ones for boys, and there's a grey one there in the middle that is for both girls and boys, and that's what I'm trying to do. And strangely, when I started the business, there were a lot of people who said to me, well, don't assume that the girls want pink because they want to be the same as the boys these days. So I didn't go down the pink route, apart from one design of polo shirt, because there are still girls who do want to wear pink. And lo and behold, the first thing that I ever sold out of was the pink polo shirt with a glittery logo on there. So it is difficult to balance what everybody wants. And maybe in 5 or 6 years, I'll have something to suit everybody's taste. But at the minute, I'm trying to go down the middle with the things that both boys and girls will like, which is difficult. Obviously, you can see just that shoulder, just over that shoulder. They're skirts. Obviously, boys are welcome to wear them if they want. but we'll find that they're for girls. And I actually do more things on my website for girls than I do for boys, because girls can wear all of the boys' stuff, but obviously boys are not generally going to wear the skirts.
So I did say I'd come back to you on the point of colours with Scott, in the sense that you did go down the lines of pink for girls, or was that just I don't know, was it inevitable? Or Charlie didn't go down that route, you did?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted the option. We did it in 2 sizes, Steve. You can imagine the conversations. I wasn't there. I mean, I've only been in the business since August, but you can imagine the conversations when they were trying to pick the colours at manufacturing, because as Charlie says, sorry, how do you get that right? You can never get it bang on. You're never going to know. We get asked a lot, the 3 to 4s come in orange and the 5 to 6 are lime green. Oh, but my son or daughter doesn't like orange. They want the lime green. So, and it's difficult. You'd love to be able to give them every option and every, you can't be done. So you just have to take a bit of a punt. We figured at that age, the 5 to 6, 7 to 8 was where boys and girls maybe wanted to make their own choice. There was maybe more demand for the pink. So we took a chance and went for it. And it does really well.
Yeah, I concur with that, Steve, because as I said, although my focus group said girls don't necessarily want to wear pink, as I said to you a minute ago, pink was the first thing that I ever sold out of. So the new, I keep getting it wrong, the new skirts that are out for this spring.
Don't worry about it. We get it wrong every week doing that. Don't worry about that.
I'm not used to it. So the new skirts I've created, there are 3 colours. There's like a light grey, a navy. And I thought, well, pink was the first thing that I sold out of. So there's obviously a market out there. There's obviously plenty of girls out there who do still want to wear pink. So I've decided that that's the way to go. But I offer them something else as well, like Scott does. They offer the pink, but if a girl decides at the age of 7 that she wants the blue clubs, then if they're paying for them with their money, they can do what they want with them, can't they? So
yeah, absolutely, that's it.
Now, you wanted to talk about Alexis, who I know as well, and I know that there's something coming up which is going to be quite important coming up. I think is it in April? I think it is. If you want to explain a little bit more about what's going on there.
Yeah. So just a little bit of background, and Scott, you'll just have to bear with us. So when I started the business, I was inundated with emails from parents saying that their kid's the next great thing in golf, and they'd like to be an ambassador for my clothing. And I just started a business. I couldn't afford to just give stuff away. And then one morning I got one email, and I don't know what it was about this email, nothing special about it. I must have just got up out of bed on the right side and agreed to this guy who'd sent me an email that his daughter could be my ambassador. And that turned out to be Alexis. And there's a picture of her over my shoulder. This is my office in my house. And it might seem strange that I've got a picture of her in my office. But last year, and you have to bear with me because it's still quite raw. Last year, unexpectedly, she died in the night, at 13 years old. She was an outstanding golfer. She was a county golfer at that age, at 13. A gorgeous young girl. She played golf in all weathers, posted lots of stuff for my clothing. I mean, I'm eternally grateful for what she did. And credit to her dad, Ben, because he could have just folded and decided, that's it, I don't want anything to do with golf anymore. And instead of that, he's created a golf foundation in Alexis' name. It's called the Alexis Brown Golf Foundation. They're all over social media, and anyone who is watching, either live or recorded, I'd urge you to go and have a little look at their social media pages. And they are organising an event in April, as you say, Steve. I can't remember the name of the golf club. I should have had that information, but it is on their social media. And
I think it's Stonebridge. I think in
yes,
Warwickshire, I think.
That rings a bell. I've got it. I have actually got notes.
Well, the only about it is I was talking earlier to Scott that that's Aaron's golf club. Aaron, the pro that you were talking to at Bunkered Live. That's his.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think he's helped out with this event. But what the foundation is about, and what Ben's decided to do is, Alexis didn't come from a lot of money, and people still associate golf with being a rich person's game. So Ben was eternally grateful because I'd agreed to let her be my ambassador. She got her clothes from me, and and she publicised them particularly well. And he's now decided with this foundation that he is going to offer kids who would struggle otherwise to afford maybe clubs and clothes a place in his foundation, and through a bit of sponsorship here and there, they are going to help them along their golfing journey until they become adults and can play, until they decide to give the game up. And it's a phenomenal thing that he's done, because, as I say, he could have just thrown his hands in the air and given up, basically. But this Alexis Brown Golf Foundation has taken, it's moved on really quickly, and it's gained traction really quickly.
Charlie, can I just say that's an unbelievable story, and you've done very well there to hold that together, because that can't have been easy. Obviously, we'll talk about it off camera, but we would love to support that, whichever way we can, and clubs or whatever, mate. So we'll do that off air, mate.
I'll say that if anyone wants to get in touch with us, we'll pass on Charlie's details and the details of the foundation as well.
I'm actually hoping Ben's watching live. I did message him just before this, and I did ask his permission to mention the foundation and to talk about Alexis. So thanks very much for indulging me in that. But over the next few years, there's going to be a lot of, let's say, underprivileged kids who are going to benefit from this foundation.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's almost a perfect link into something which I was looking at earlier, in the sense that I was just looking at, there was an article by Golf World's James Hibbett, and the headline was, "How can golf attract a younger audience?" And the first line pretty much sums up everything. Whether it be the stigma of dress codes or draconian rules disguised as tradition, golf has long had the reputation of being an old man's game. And I just wanted to bring actually both of you in with this, and let's start with the clothing side of it. Is that and I got some photos of the US Ryder Cup team kind of thing, in the sense of the traditions of golf and the clothing side of it can be a dampener for kids to get involved with golf. Now, I don't know whether you sell hoodies or anything like that, but obviously those types of things whereby just trying to attract a younger audience, how important is that?
It's massive for me. Now, this was quite amusing, those hoodies, because they were playing and it was quite windy, and those hoods were flapping right around their faces. However, they were still good enough to give us a good hammering.
Absolutely.
Yeah, take that picture off. It's really sore. I remember watching that. Yeah, hoodies, it's frowned upon by the older players in golf, even at my own golf club. But hoodies are on my radar to create maybe for next autumn, winter, because kids want to wear them. I am, however, a slight traditionalist. I don't want to see kids on a golf course in trainers and tracksuits. I don't mind if they're 4 or 5 and they're just trying for the first time in a group lesson, that's fine. But if they become members of a golf club as juniors, then I think they should be wearing golf clothes. The thing about golf clothes is it's my job now to create them and make them more like what they would wear themselves, what they choose to wear. My son is an ambassador as well. He doesn't get a choice. He's not allowed to wear any other brand.
We have actually got a photo of him. I don't know if he might put it up of your son, which wearing your clothes. So
right,
there he is. Yeah,
there he is.
It's a fantastic photo taken by a genius photographer. I don't know who that was, but there you go.
Yeah. That was at your event at Wellingborough last year, was it?
It was. That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. The amusing thing about that was he came third in that event and won an every shot counts voucher.
Brilliant.
I had to pay him in cash. He returned the voucher. I had to give him the monetary value of it.
Well, part of your job as a parent, though. I've actually got another photo as well, which you mentioned about the traditions of clothing and things like that. I suspect that this is a photo which you probably wouldn't want junior golfers, the kind of clothing them to be wearing then.
No, I saw that live as well when that occurred.
Yeah.
But I don't mind the fun that he had, and I think there were something like 400 cans of beer thrown on the green when he did that as well.
Yeah.
But it's showing a little bit more fun in the game, and I think that's what the game needs. I created, because I'm also my junior organizer, and I created a what I call the Super Sixes event, 6-hole knockout match play amongst all of my juniors that went through all in one day, went through to a final, over six holes. And I think the winner ended up playing 24 holes in the day, which was fantastic. But what I found really strange is all the ones who were knocked out stayed to watch their mates and follow them up the 6 holes and watch their mates play in the next rounds. So it's about making the game more modern without losing the rules, and we can keep a lot of traditions. And you've got to keep the sticklers out of the clubhouse, because kids want to play on their phones in a clubhouse. That's what kids do. So people don't want phones in clubhouses anymore.
No, definitely.
You're right, Charlie.
It's about there's a point, isn't there? There's an absolute point where you want to keep the traditions of the game. You know, for me, I'm the same as you. I like elements of it, but it has to move into 2022.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bit like the clubs and the wee games we play in the flipper. We talked about the flipper ball. We build flipper courses. You know, they're 30 yards long.
Yeah.
We've got the foot golf hole.
Yeah.
Make it fun, and there's all sorts of. It's just little ways to engage them. If they've got a club in their hands, they're playing golf. What's the format? It doesn't matter if they're having fun, and you know that all that stuff matters 15 years down the line. You know.
Can you just give us an indication as well? We're actually going to be doing some podcasts on different parts of the country, so we are going to be doing one on Scotland. So it'll be a subject which will be raised in more detail then. But do you feel, as someone who lives north of the border, do you feel that there's a difference between north of the border than south, and even south of south? If that makes sense.
So I should say, so I was a pro at Silvermere for 2 years. So I've lived in Surrey. And I've seen it. Yeah, I would say there's differences, but it comes to junior golf and engagement and modernising the game. No, not really. I think there's improvement that we could all do. We could all work on it at every club. There's certainly some clubs and some pros that do it better. They're more engaging. You know, they're more forthright in terms of trying to drive the game. There's others who are very traditional, very, very traditional. You get that everywhere, guys. It's a UK issue.
As far as my role, sorry, Steve. As far as my role is concerned, is I've just got to follow the current fashions. So if you look at Every Shot Counts trousers, they're very slim-legged, because that's the current fashion out there on the streets. I wouldn't make them out of denim, because they're not going to be allowed on a golf course.
Yeah.
And if that changes, if slim-legged goes out of fashion, and for some strange reason we go back into slightly more flared trousers, then my designs will follow that, because kids won't wear something that isn't currently in fashion. However nice I think it is, it's got to be what they would wear.
Just a point that you raised the situation with golf clubs and how they in the way that they go about things like that. This is a question for both of you, because obviously slightly different angles here, but it's the same question. How much support do you have from golf clubs for selling your products in their clubs? Because if they can't sell your clubs, if they're not selling junior golf clubs, if they're not selling junior clothing, then are they being supportive to you when you go and try and sell it there? Or is there still a little bit of a no? This is our club. Keep away from that kind of attitude. I don't know.
I'm probably slightly different from Charlie, because we've got other products, so to speak. You know, the app that we sell that we work with in coaches, the education side of the schools. You know, if I go and see a club or a pro, and they're not interested in buying the clubs because they don't have enough juniors, I can work with them on developing that. You know, and okay, so let me introduce you to your local school. We can go in and deliver to them and try and pull the kids back to the club and engage them that way. So there's always a way we can try and engage the club a bit more. It might be, I don't know if Charlie will be able to answer, but we've got another way to do that. And that's great, because we're then growing the game. Now, if we go down the business route, which I don't want to go down too much here, but we can grow our own market, so to speak. You know, the more kids we get engaging in schools and joining golf clubs, the market gets bigger for Charlie and for golfing. You know, that's the way it works. So it's slightly different for us, but we love that. You know, it's a challenge for us when we walk into a golf club and they say, "Nah, sorry guys, it's not for us. We don't have enough kids." Well, why?
See, I know. With the event that you mentioned, the event at Wellingborough, I know that you were very keen. You wanted to have like a shop which you could show your products in the presentation afterwards, and there was other clubs who you'd done similar things to, and they were a little bit, I don't know about that. Whereas Wellingborough were great, they were happy for you to do that. So where's the balance? Which are for and against? Which ones are and aren't?
Yeah, well, this is how much time have we got? This is my soapbox moment.
Right
really.
at the end of the show. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a call to arms for anyone involved in junior golf around the country. Speak to your pro, because I've gone to not just pros at golf clubs, but golf retailers, massive golf retailers, who will always say to me, "Kids are the future of the game," and I will say, "Well, why don't you stock some of these products of mine?" "Oh, well, we're not interested." And the reason is I will offer them the same profit margin on my clothes as they will get with a huge brand like Hugo Boss. But 50% margin on Hugo Boss is a lot more than a 50% margin on my clothing, because I keep them as cheap as I can. And just a little anecdote is, in the Northwest, there's a massive golf club that's involved with juniors. It's got a huge junior membership, and they take great juniors from other golf clubs, not steal them, but kids go there because they know it's like an academy, and they've got a massive golf shop. And I've spoken to the pro there, who doesn't want to entertain kids' clothes or kids' clubs for that matter. And I've said, well, what do your kids spend their winnings on from their competitions? And he just shrugged and said, well, balls usually, and had no interest. So I would use this platform now to ask everybody who's going to watch this to speak to their pro and tell them that I will sell their pro as few items as they want to try. The reason they don't sell them is the big manufacturers insist on a huge order quantity, and they're frightened of being left with them when they don't sell them. I just want to have clothes available so kids can go and play golf. Whether they order 3 things from me or 30 things from me, I'm not bothered. I just want kids to go in their pro shop, if they've won their Sunday medal and they've got a few quid, to have something other than a ball marker or a Strixon golf ball to be able to buy. And if that helps the image of the golf club because the kids are wearing better clothes, then it's a win-win for everybody, isn't it?
All right. Well, look, we're pretty much at the end of the show now. I think I would hope that that's the whole point of the Progress Junior Golf podcast, in the sense that we try and look at various aspects of junior golf and try and get messages across there to clubs, counties, juniors, parents, whoever it might be, to try and let's try and improve this game. Let's try and get more kids playing the game. Let's try and help parents to try and get kids playing the game, and those types of messages which you both put across there are exactly the types of messages which need to be told out there. Sometimes the harsh truth is what they need to hear. Both of you, all I'd say is, I would hope from Scott's point of view, you would say that you might well have been in the same position that Charlie is in now, in the sense of 3 or 4 years in, or golf in 3 or 4 years in, whereby there was a bit of animosity towards it. We didn't want this new brand on the market. But now you've started to get yourself in the market, in the sense that people realise that you're not a danger. You're someone who is trying to help the whole industry as it is, and that's what Charlie's trying to do with the golf clothing, in the sense of it's benefiting everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's the cliche of growing the game, but it's the truth, isn't it? We're all here for one reason, guys. We're here because we want to develop it. And that's exactly what it is. Charlie, I would love to see Charlie's, every shot counts grow, because the number of people that walked onto Bunker Live and said, "Do you guys sell junior clothing?" And I was like, "No, sorry." There's a huge opportunity, but as Charlie says, people need to embrace it. So yeah, hound your local pro for every shot counts in golfing, guys. That's the future.
All right, look, I really appreciate your time this evening. We'll pass on the details of the foundation for the golf event and everything. We've got some podcasts coming up. Like I say, I think we're going to be doing one on Scotland, one on an island, possibly a massive person coming on for the Scotland one, a former Ryder Cup player. Fingers crossed for that one. So hopefully we're going to do some, and then we're going to do some ones on various aspects of junior golf, including racism in junior golf as well, which is going to be that's going to be a big topic to talk about. So like I say, different subjects and trying to grow the game. That's the phrase, isn't it? That's the one which is it's so important, isn't it? But look, really appreciate your time, Scott. Really appreciate your time, Charlie. And if you've missed the show from the start, we're going to put a highlights package together for you, and hopefully that'll be online in the next day or so. But otherwise, we shall see you in a couple of weeks' time. So have a good evening.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.